Hi, we don't know how we're starting this video.
Hi. I was like, should we make a plan? Chelsea was like, yeah, we're going to talk. And I was like, yeah, that's not a plan. It's not a plan. So Gideon is 7 weeks old. And we're just now filming a birth story. We don't remember what YouTube knows. So let's reel
We don't
it on
remember
back.
anything.
Let's reel it on back at the end of March. So we're going even further back.
Let's go a week before Gideon's born.
You'd gone in for a non-stress test.
Yep.
And the midwife felt Chelsea's belly to feel where the baby was positioned, and was worried that
He wasn't positioned, he wasn't head down.
Like
he
he was
didn't seem
breached.
head down at the time.
Yeah.
I
mean, I guess that's kind of hard to tell from the outside, so she wanted to send Chelsea for an ultrasound to confirm his position. So we go in for the ultrasound, not realizing that they would also be measuring him at that ultrasound.
Yeah. So they measured him, and at the time he was looking like he was almost 12 pounds. And again, this is like me at 38 weeks. I don't know if any of you might follow us on Instagram.
He wasn't almost 12 pounds, wasn't he? Was he? I
He
thought
was
he was almost 11.
No, he was like 11.9. Whatever. He was big.
Very large baby.
Yeah.
So our midwife calls us that night, the next day?
It was that day.
That day. Saying, I know we were expecting a big baby.
We weren't
He's
expecting
bigger
this
than that. He's bigger than what we were expecting. So that's when they said, okay, you got to come in. We got to refer you to an OB because in Canada, midwives do pretty much everything an OB does except for C-sections.
Yes.
So because with babies who are, I think it's called macrosia,
I think.
where it's when you're over a certain weight, birth weight, they refer you to an OB because you're classified as high risk because there could be shoulder distortion at birth and a couple other things. Dysphagia. I don't know words anymore. I'm very tired. And he's been sleeping better, but I'm still tired.
It was almost like when we got more sleep, we realized how little sleep we'd been getting, and we're just like, oh.
We're not running on pure adrenaline anymore.
No.
That appointment with the midwife was really hard. I got upset because we'd spent the whole pregnancy with the midwife team who stayed involved and they were amazing. But then your care was getting handed over to this complete stranger. We didn't know him or whether he was a good doctor or whether he was comfortable, whether he was going to be a good doctor for a 2-mom team. We didn't know.
The entire midwife team apparently adored him. So at the very least, we knew that was a step in the right direction. But obviously we did a lot of screening with our midwives to make sure that they were queer friendly, a queer friendly practice. And so
not every doctor is.
No.
You just need to, and you do know that if you are queer, then not every doctor is friendly.
Yeah.
Or going to treat you the same.
Yeah.
Or going to be your advocate. In the health system, and the health system is a place where queer individuals are particularly vulnerable. So I start crying.
So and Caitlin kind of expressed this to Ashley, who was totally cool, totally understanding. And Ashley kind of it looked like she was thinking about what she wanted to say. And then she sort of leaned in and she's like, well, we really trust him. And he has a wonderful husband. And 2 children. So it was oh, okay, all right.
Oh, it felt okay.
We're good.
So that was nice just in the sense that we could automatically feel a little bit
wearing his pride sweater the whole
every time we saw him, he was wearing a different.
I wondered if it was just for him being hey guys, it's all right.
We met him, we really liked him. He didn't push the C-section issue.
No, which we appreciated even though we ended up choosing it. So we kind of did he do a cervical check at that point?
Yes. We were let nature decide.
Can I just say, the most brutal part of this whole experience, and I did in fact go into labor, so I can say that it was the most brutal part even compared to labor, active labor, was the frickin' cervical check. I hated it so much because I guess my cervix was still really long at that point.
Angled, he said.
Yes, that is the hand motion. Wait, like this. I had to angle in a certain way, and he just had to dig right in, and it was really uncomfortable. And he tried very hard to make me comfortable. He was like, so what do you do for work? And I was like, I don't know.
What we found out from that cervical check was...
I was like, what, 1
Because
centimeter?
he said, like, well, if we're doing natural, like, we're inducing you today.
Yeah.
But he was like, I could force 1 centimeter. And Chelsea was like, don't.
My body...
That was your actual words.
Yeah,
you were just like, don't do it. And he was like, no, I'm not going to. I just said I could.
And we kind of were like, well...
You felt like your body was nowhere near. He hadn't dropped. You weren't dilated. It wasn't even really softened. You were like, but I'm not ready.
No.
So we might as well plan a C-section. So we did. For like, I think it was a week later, we planned our scheduled C-section. And we
2:30 in the afternoon.
made our peace with it. He was like, it's going to be a chill morning. You guys just roll on in at 11. We're going to hook you up to an IV. You guys can like walk around and stuff once the IV's set up.
Everything's good.
It's going to be great. And then...
Can you tell by our tone of voice that it just did not go that way?
The day before, at 7 in the morning, Chelsea wakes me up going, I think I'm having contractions. And I was like...
Looking back, yes.
Are you sure? We'd planned out this whole day, our last day. We'd seen people the day before. We were like, no, we're just going to spend our day at home together. Last day of the two of us. It's going to be so great. And Chelsea goes into labor before I even wake up. So we called the midwife, who said, well, some women stay in last stage of labor for days, which is a horrifying thought.
But at the
Dear
time,
God.
was that Rosie?
Yeah, it's always Rosie. Or our son. He's with his grandma, by
Yeah,
the way.
we're not just like, we didn't just ditch him in a room.
We haven't abandoned him.
No.
It's fine.
We'll bring him in at the end. Or halfway through if he needs to feed.
So what happened was the midwife said, don't worry about coming in. You have your thing scheduled tomorrow. You could be in early labor for days.
I hear baby.
Let's finish this part real quick, and then we'll bring him in. So just stay home, chill, relax, monitor, call me if anything changes. So Chelsea took a nap a little bit later, slept through.
It's a great
She was
nap,
allowed
actually.
to take Tylenol, so I think you took just like a regular Tylenol.
Yeah, extra strong.
Had a really good nap. I watched a movie. We just kind of chilled. And then in the early afternoon, Chelsea woke up because the contractions had gotten more painful. And then so you kind of stuck it out for a little while longer.
We had dinner.
Chelsea wanted fettuccine
I woke up
Alfredo.
in pain and I was like, I want fettuccine Alfredo.
I was like, okay. And this fettuccine Alfredo is important because it changed our son's birthday. So what happened then is after dinner, we were like, okay, no, things are ramping up. Contractions are longer. They're coming more quickly. We're moving towards active labor. We called the midwife and she's like, okay, shoot. Go to the hospital. I'll meet you there. We'll figure this out. So that's what we did.
Everything's gonna be just fine.
Fryer. I'm like tearing up. Oh no. Oh no.
Hey, buddy, it's gonna be okay. When we got there, they hooked Chelsea up
To the non-stress test.
Yep, to monitor baby
Same
and
old, same
for
old at that point.
contractions, which were coming pretty quickly and
Pretty
steadily.
quickly and pretty strong.
They asked her if she wanted anything for the pain, just gave her some more Tylenol. Got a cervical check. I think you're at 2 centimeters at that point.
Almost 3.
Almost 3.
I remember because I thought, almost 3? Like,
What?
screw you guys.
So you'd been in early labor for about 12 hours. No, 14 hours at this point. Because we went to the hospital late at night.
Yeah.
So wife talks to the OB on call because it's a Sunday and our OB isn't in. And they come in and are talking about, okay, so what's the plan? And they ask, well, do you want to try and see if labor progresses and you give birth naturally? And Chelsea goes, no, we don't want to change the plan. We would still want a C-section. Okay. So then they're like, well, when did you last eat? And we're like, 6 o'clock, fettuccine Alfredo, thank you.
Go get him.
So, do you want to go get him?
Cliffhanger. We'll be right back.
Doo-doo-doo. And we're back. This is our son's head as he's breastfeeding. So where did we leave off? Chelsea had eaten. So she couldn't have a C-section because of the risk of aspirating. And it was an emergency. She wasn't progressing.
No.
Gideon was not in any fetal distress or anything.
And
So
he certainly wasn't, like, in the position to be born either. He hadn't dropped.
So what they said was, well, we can send you home. And you can come back in the morning
And they
just,
dosed me with morphine first.
yeah, have your regular C-section time with your regular OB.
It was great.
So they gave Chelsea like a morphine gravel combo so that she could sleep basically for the 4 hours that it lasted.
It was beautiful.
Which she did. In the morning, painkillers had worn off, so he woke up again. I was like playing a game of like, how can I keep Chelsea distracted so we can kind of like go in when we need to go in. So
I think
she's not
at that
in
point I
triage
hit
forever.
active labor.
Grabbed the TENS unit, which is actually a lifesaver, I think.
Well, based on his position, because of his position in the womb, I was experiencing pretty heavy back labor, which is brutal. It took my breath away every single time. But as soon as I got the TENS unit on my back, it was kind of like it just changed it to normal front labor.
Yeah.
So the back was almost negligible, which is nice.
Chelsea has this image of how she was in labor that's just like not what was happening from an external perspective. Like you felt like you weren't dealing with the pain very well.
Yeah.
Like you were just
I was like, this is breaking me.
yeah. And I was like, I just want you, I told her afterwards, I was like, I want you to know that from the outside, here's what it looked like. And I kept just being like, okay, she seems fine, I guess. Like, I would hold your hand through the contractions, and you would, like, up the TENS unit, and that would basically be it.
It was like a
I'd
death
be
metal
like,
screamo
okay,
song in my head, though.
You can do this, babe. You got this. Gideon's having a hard time, too.
You struggling?
He's struggling. Chelsea's pretty out of it, waiting to go into the C-section, so they're kind of coming in and mostly talking to me at this point. They got you your antibiotic. The doctor came in, checked in with us. Our midwife, who was like staying in like a support role and who was taking over care of Gideon.
The midwife and the student midwife, which was cool.
Yeah, were checking in with us. They brought Chelsea in on a stretcher and told me to wait on a chair. It's this long hallway leading into the OR. It's like empty. There's no one in that section really of the the ward. And there's just one chair in the hallway right outside the OR room. So they tell me to sit in the chair and that they're gonna go take Chelsea in and do the spinal tap. And they'll bring me in like 10 minutes. So I was just sitting there alone in this hallway. There's no one else there. Tense. And it was just the longest 10 minutes of my entire life. Just waiting. And there's this like tiny little window in the door. And I kept staring at it, wondering if everything was going okay and waiting to hear a word. I think the OB told me to like take a selfie in my like gear that I'd like gotten all prepped into for the OR, and so I did that, and then I was like, well, now what do I do for the other 9 minutes and 30 seconds? It was nerve-wracking right at the very end there. Luckily, the spinal tap went pretty smoothly.
It went pretty smoothly, yeah. I mean, I'm on my end. I'm having contractions, and I get wheeled into this gigantic OR, much bigger and different than I pictured it being. They have to like hoist me up, and then I don't know how many people have gotten a spinal tap before or an epidural, but you really have to lean over very, very far.
You know, I like curl, right?
Yeah, and when you're having contractions, that's not an easy task, and I had a gigantic belly. And so I had to have people kind of like pushing me forward, and I kept going, ah, like it was just kind of chaos for a little bit. And they kept going, okay, I know, just a little further. And I'd go, I can't get any further. So they did, you don't even, oh, I'm sorry, did I disturb you? Yeah, and then it's the most delightful feeling when that kicks in, because my pain went away. It felt like I was being filled up with hot water, which doesn't sound pleasant, but it really was. And, you know, you start kind of getting that pins and needles feeling, and everything just felt fine. And I was stretched out on the operating table like Jesus on a cross. It was very odd. And I remember the anesthesiologist, who was just like honed in on me. I was his like sole focus and priority.
He didn't even know there was a baby in the room.
And he, you know, he was checking in with me. He was doing my blood pressure. He was making sure I was okay. And, you know, because they don't want you to have a reaction to the anesthetic. And at one point, I could feel the doctor poking at my belly. Like really light little taps. And the anesthesiologist goes, can you feel that? And I went, yeah, it feels like he's just kind of like boop, 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 boop on my belly. And he goes, okay, that's how we know that the spinal tap is working, because he's actually like pinching you. And he like did this motion like he was digging in. And I was like, okay, God. And then, you know, they've set me up. They've put the curtain up, which I cannot see a thing past.
So like up at chest level, right?
Yep. I think enough that Caitlin couldn't even see past it at that.
Not while I was sitting.
No.
So they lead me in. I have a little chair by Chelsea's head that I'm sitting beside. They got the curtain up, and then they're ready to go. And they're just like, okay, we're gonna start. You just stay there. So we're just kind of talking. I'm asking you how you feel. Your chin's shaking.
Oh yeah, by that time I was like, my whole body was just tremoring. I was going, like my whole jaw was chattering, and it was a weird feeling. Apparently it just happens sometimes. The way I heard it described, when you're frozen and they're doing a C-section, it feels like someone's washing dishes in your abdomen.
Once they get in and they're messing around.
Shoving shit around.
And they warned us, they were like, it's gonna be really quick to get to the baby. Less than 10 minutes. And they were like, it's gonna take longer to put everything back and sew her back up.
Yeah.
But I mean, at that point, we'd had the baby, so like, what do we care?
I'm distracted, like, it doesn't matter.
So they let us know that they're getting close to the baby, so
Get
I can
our camera out.
stand up
Not
with
me, I couldn't
my
do
phone and see over the curtain to take the picture.
And then there was this,
There's just
like, an audible popping noise as they pulled him out, and then like instant squalling.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
he
good
was
set of lungs
instantly
right from the beginning.
Yeah.
The OB's just holding him to his chest because they want to do delayed cord clamping even with C-section, so he's just kind of holding him for like the 2 minutes. So he's doing that, and we're just a mess. Chelsea, they lowered the curtain so Chelsea could even kind of see
I'm
him.
bawling.
Chelsea's crying, I'm crying, the midwives are just like cooing. Cut the cord, bring him over to the side, and cleaning him up, weighing him. Then they're doing his like first stuff that he needs, and ask like, do you want skin to skin first or for Chelsea to see him? And I'm like, Chelsea to see him. But I get to trim the cord first, and it's like cutting through like a really fatty piece of the steak. Like, I'm cutting it and I'm like, oh, this doesn't feel right. Oh. And then we got him all bundled up, and we bring him over to Chelsea so she can see him. She
I
just
couldn't
kinda
hold
turn
him.
her head.
I was so too shaky. I just didn't feel like I could do it. It's okay. I got skin to skin like immediately after.
Yeah.
As soon as I got sewn up, and they took us into the recovery room, like, prompt.
So we had some time where we were taking pictures and holding him, and Chelsea was kissing his head because she could kind of like turn and kiss him, and it was, oh God, we were just, I mean, we were both like crying.
We were a mess.
So much. And the midwives were just circling us, taking pictures, and
It was pretty cute.
making sure like he was okay, and he was, of course, he was perfect.
It was really good.
But then they say, okay, you want to do skin to skin? I'm like, hell yeah. And they're like starting to like form a little change room around me with the blankets. And I'm just like, whoosh. No more shirt. I don't care. They unwrap him, and I get him on my chest, and we're just holding him while they're sewing Chelsea up. And we were just like talking while we were waiting. I don't even know what we were saying. I think we just kept saying he was like beautiful, and he was
You're so
perfect.
beautiful. You're so beautiful. He has your chin dimple.
Oh yeah, you did say that right away.
Yeah.
And I think at one point I turned to Chelsea too, and I was like, he is a Gideon, because we were pretty sure about the name, but not 100% sure until
We
we saw him. And she was like, he is a Gideon. He's Gideon. So.
I know you. Yeah.
And then when they got really close to finishing up with Chelsea, they sent me and Gideon down the hall to the recovery area where
Yep.
Chelsea was going to come in like 5 minutes. So that the midwife could do his head-to-toe check.
Yep.
So that as soon as Chelsea got in, she
They
could
transferred
start
me to
breastfeeding.
bed and then just wheeled me right in, and it was so quiet, eh?
Yeah, I don't think there was anyone else there
It
at
was
that point.
quiet and calm, and everything was lovely. And I finally got to eat and to drink. Oh my god.
Yeah.
They were like, what do you... And I was like, water and a popsicle. Like, it was just like, I knew. And Jell-O. Water, popsicle, and Jell-O.
Yeah.
That was the best meal I've ever had.
And then they got Gideon on you right away for skin to skin.
And breastfeeding.
Breastfeeding. We were in there for a little while to make sure everything was okay with Chelsea's blood pressure, coming out of the anesthetic. And then they took us over to the maternity ward where we would be staying with Gideon for a couple days because Chelsea was having a C-section, so we need to stay in the hospital for a little while.
Sure.
Do we want to get into the whole hospital stay, or are we just talking birth right now?
Let's do birth, and then we can do like our first week as parents video.
Yeah.
In
'Cause
7 months.
It was... Yeah, it sounds like that. It was eventful. There's a lot that happened. One of the issues and the reason why we didn't post anything for a while on Instagram or Twitter was because his blood sugar was very low. So we were just incredibly focused on getting that up.
My milk wasn't coming in.
Yeah, there was
It
a
whole
lot
thing. It was
going
a whole
on.
thing.
And I remember, like, thank God we met people on YouTube who like, our little TTC community here, because, like, I was, like, messaging with the Powell tribe because their little guy had low blood sugar, and
It's
just
nice to have those
people
that community of
understand.
people that experienced it,
That
and even if they
support.
didn't experience it, they're like, I'm here for you, I'm here to listen.
Ever since he's been born, we've known someone on YouTube who's experienced like the same thing. So we can be like, what did you do for this for sleep? How did you handle this? What did you do for this? What did you do with breast milk low supply?
I mean, I just got done talking to like Lisa and Lindsay over Instagram, just like talking about sleep schedules. Like, everybody's kind of...
Building your little community around you is so important.
It really
'cause
is.
It would be so easy to feel so alone and so scared in those early days.
Oh god.
Sheer chaos going on right behind us, and we're like, wow. So we got over to the other hospital room, and then the nurse left, and we were just like, did they know they left the baby
Who left this baby here? Do they need this back at any given time?
Yeah, he was just not perfect. His blood sugar was crap, and he was huge.
But he was
and-
perfect.
But he was so perfect to us because he was the exact little baby that we wanted.
Yeah.
And he's
It's
here.
the most bizarre
and
feeling. It still kind of is a little bit.
The past 7 weeks have been hell, and they've still been perfect.
Yeah.
Like, they're awful.
Both hell
But they're
and
great.
amazing. Like, how is that parenting? Those two things just existing all the time at the same time? I think it is.
Yeah, probably. But we hope that this long story wasn't too boring and that we got enough clips to make it interesting, because we couldn't film a lot.
Sorry about our crying baby.
So there's a lot of pictures and stuff. Sorry, our baby's been crying this whole time.
You'll get a better
He's
clip.
fussy.
We'll insert some better clips of him, like recent clips. We
Yeah.
have some recent video clips of him just being
And here's the Gideon montage. Woo.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.